How's it going, everyone? I'm Jakejames Lugo, and welcome to the channel where you'll find some of the most fair and honest game reviews out here.
Hello there.
And we're going back to a galaxy far, far away, just in time for the Book of Boba Fett to be playing on Disney+, because today we're going to be talking about some bounty hunters. And not just any bounty hunter, we're talking about probably one of the galaxy's most feared, most deadly, and probably the best bounty hunter in the galaxy, specifically at this time frame. We're talking about Jango Fett from Star Wars Bounty Hunter. Now, of course, this is the GameCube version. This is my original version I've had for years, but I am going to be showing footage and talking a little bit more about the PlayStation 4 re-release that's on PSN for this game, because that one has better graphics, it could be presented in a 1080p HD, and all this other stuff. It's the best version of the game currently out right now. But what is it about bounty hunters that are so awesome? Like, what is it about Star Wars, at least this part of the galaxy, or at least this part of the universe, is so appealing to a lot of people? Some of the most interesting stories within the Star Wars universe often come from the most unlikely of places. The Skywalker plotline is always great, but what about the dark underworld that lurks outside of what we see in the movies? It's an appealing pitch for those who want something different. Back in 2002, we got Star Wars Bounty Hunter released on the PlayStation 2 and Nintendo GameCube. The game came out shortly after the theatrical release of Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. The movie was released in May of that year, and the game came out that following November. Here we get the story of Jango Fett, the father of the infamous bounty hunter Boba Fett from the original trilogy. I need to mention that everything in this game is now considered legends, and not part of the official Star Wars canon anymore. Anyway, Jango Fett is working with his partner Rosada, taking on bounties across the galaxy. The two of them receive a message from Count Dooku, offering a job that gives a gigantic reward. The bounty is on a dark Jedi named Kamari Vosa, one of Dooku's minions who now threatens the plans of Emperor Palpatine. Jango takes on the job, but isn't the only bounty hunter doing so. The message also went out to multiple bounty hunters, including a few acquaintances of Jango. While tracking down Vosa, Jango finds himself caught in the middle of a conspiracy between multiple crime syndicates, making tons of enemies in the process. This story takes place about 10 years before the events of Attack of the Clones. It tries to give details about Jango's backstory, a lot of which we didn't see in the movies. We get to see how he acquired the ship Slave 1, how he met his assassin partner from Episode 2, and why Jango was picked as the model for the Republic's Grand Army, which would eventually turn into the Stormtroopers for the Galactic Empire. It's a mix of new lore and third-person action, but does that make it an interesting game for Star Wars fans?
Why'd you spend some of your hard-earned cash on a new ship?
Not a chance. She belonged to Justa Mareel.
I know. The Mandalorian soldier who took you under his wing. You ever think maybe you hang onto that ship? Those memories. Because you're looking for someone to take under your own wing.
Ross, you're sounding like a psych droid. What's the info on...
Now, this story is kinda slow. It feels a little bit meh in some spots, and in other spots it feels like it meanders just a little bit too long. I mean, it's cool that we do have some connections to Attack of the Clones and a few other things that fans of Star Wars will recognize, but there isn't enough connections, I feel, to some of the other Star Wars films that really should be there. Granted, this is a game that is a prequel slash backstory to Jango Fett that gives a lot of explanations that fans wanted to know. Yet at the same time, I still wanted to see like other connections to like the Phantom Menace, maybe like some allusions to maybe Revenge of the Sith. Granted, this came out after Episode 2 was released, this came out later that year, but still, I felt like, there should be other types of fan service to really string fans along while going through this game. Because as far as the story itself is concerned, a lot of the characters you come across are very inconsequential. The only reason why you're playing this game is because of Jango Fett. You're only here to see his backstory and to see what's going on with him, at least get details about why he's so important. But the other thing too is that there needs to be other characters that at least are appealing enough or interesting enough to really keep me invested in this game, because everybody else besides Jango himself is really secondary or tertiary, and again, they're very inconsequential. They're just kind of there. Maybe you guys out there might disagree with me, but at least that's how I felt when I was playing through this game, and I finished this a couple different times, both on the GameCube and most recently on the PlayStation 4, but still, I keep going back to the same thing, where Jango is cool, but the rest of the game and the rest of the cast really isn't. But that's just my opinion about the story stuff. Regardless of how you feel, let's get right into the gameplay, because this is the stuff where I feel like I have a lot more to talk about with it, and you're gonna be a little surprised. Taking control of a bounty hunter and getting into blaster fights is a fun time, but while using a jetpack and hunting bounties is great, the game suffers from a number of big issues.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Oh, I have a bad feeling about this.
One of the most annoying things you have to deal with is the camera, which feels stiff and could be a real nuisance. You have a lock-on feature that does help a bit, but as soon as you get into areas with obstacles or tight corridors, your vision could get obscured. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I'd run into a group and couldn't see where exactly I was firing, despite locking onto something. What's confusing is how your aim can sometimes be completely off for no reason, even when you're targeting something directly. Django's shots will just go off to the side, or his arm will randomly target another enemy nearby that you just can't see at all. It happened to me so often and it was a real detriment to the experience. But that's only the start of the issues that I found in this game. I couldn't help but notice all the different bugs, glitches, and crazy things that would happen.
What?
Seriously, there were things that were going on that straight up shocked me. For example, I would fire a dart at the Nexu enemy crawling around and watch them go flying backwards in the air. It was hilarious, but a bad sign of how rough the game's technical issues really were. What got me really annoyed is how inconsistent the damage output from enemies, as well as the ridiculous aim of some of them have. Say what you want about multiple enemies looking like duplicates of each other, but I think it's worse that if enemies can hit you with perfect aim from a stupid far distance. It makes things super frustrating to deal with, and very unfun in the worst case scenario.
I don't believe that. And you're sounding like a separatist.
Yeah, all the things that I mentioned here are pretty freaking bad, but one other thing I want to touch on are the lives that you have in every single stage. Every time you lose all 5 of your lives, you have to repeat the entire level, and to me, that is super frustrating. I went to that game over screen like a number of times, and every single time I did, I was just like exhausted and annoyed that I have to redo all the stuff that I just did. Getting all the bounties again, finding all the hidden secrets, like all that stuff just gets really frustrating when you're kind of like forced to do that over and over again. Luckily, however, there are a few instances where some of the collectibles or bounties that you find are given to you if you already found them beforehand, but still, I wish that the game had a better checkpoint system. So even though I don't like the lives, if you're going to give me the lives that I have to use throughout this level, give me some better checkpoints where I don't have to repeat like maybe an hour or so of gameplay, because to me, that is the most frustrating thing you could do to a player. The other thing I should mention briefly are the boss fights in this game, and I found them to be very mediocre, very poorly designed in some cases, and very poorly programmed. They suffer from some of the same issues that I had when fighting groups of enemies, where not only the camera is a problem, but some of their like abilities and some of their other like, you know, stuff that they could do is all out of whack. Like they bug out or they glitch out. Some enemies and some bosses do ridiculous damage, while other ones are complete pushovers where it's not consistent. Like there's no like progressive like difficulty like going up. Everything is just all over the place. Whether it's the QA people didn't test this game over and over again to iron that stuff out, or they're meant to be like very vicious and stuff, but even then, in the context of everything else going on with the game, these just come off as very janky, very like poorly designed, and very all over the place, man. It's just something that I noticed because it's so apparent, it's so in my face that you can't really ignore that. This is one of the reasons why I feel like this game gets way too much credit for what it is, because of all these technical issues. Like, how can you guys like not see all these bugs and stuff, especially with some of the enemies just like going nuts? Like some of the enemies I've even seen like just glitch out or get stuck in meshes or get stuck in certain objects, and it's like, what the hell? Did nobody see this back in the day? Like, granted, sometimes us Star Wars fans, we tend to be a little blinded by our pure passion and fandom, but still, come on now. Like, if you see this stuff, you gotta call it out as it is. Now, speaking of which, there's one more thing I want to harp on a little bit, and this one, I don't know, for a game called Star Wars Bounty Hunter, you would think that they would have this on point, but you know what? Just watch. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So let's be real here. Playing as Jango Fett in a game where you could collect bounties is an amazing idea. This should be an epic win for a game called Bounty Hunter. But here's the problem. The execution of this in-game is terrible. You could look around to identify and claim bounties you find in stages, claiming them dead or alive for credits. But scanning the bounties with Jango's helmet is a huge inconvenience and leaves you defenseless. I can't stand that you need to switch to Jango's helmet and target the bounty in order to mark it. You're left completely vulnerable until you switch over to another weapon, which is a big problem when a group of enemies are nearby shooting at you. This could be handled so much better in so many other ways. Why can't scanning be a default thing that I do just by aiming at people? Or maybe have Rosada give me a hint about a bounty that's being nearby before I stop and try to scan every single enemy that I run into. It's stupid and a totally unnecessary step. What's even worse is that you can't even scan the dead bodies of enemies after you shot them. This doesn't make sense from an in-universe perspective, since I should be able to claim a bounty that is wanted dead or alive, and their models remain on the ground after I shoot them. This is a huge problem throughout the game, and you have to deal with it if you want to get all of the unlockables. In all fairness though, the bonus items are fairly good. The bounties you find unlock promo and concept art for the game, while you could get other extra goodies by finding hidden tokens and completing the game itself. You can open up a full Dark Horse comic series called Jango Fett Open Seasons, as well as a goofy outtakes reel from some of the game's characters acting like they're filming a movie. This is cool, but none of it really addresses any of the problems that I have when you have to claim bounties in the game. To me, this is far below the standard that is fitting for a bounty hunter like Jango Fett.
You still put up a good fight, Django. But I don't have time for games. I'm on the hunt. I'm on the hunt.
That's a better one. Cool. Yeah, if you ever anything you want to try, just feel free.
Okay.
Be on that, Eric.
I'd like to try a different hair product.
I feel like everything with the extra content and bonus goodies you can unlock could have been handled just a little bit better, because, I mean, it's cool to get the Dark Horse comic, to get these, like, you know, Wizards of the Coast cards and all these other things, but what about costumes? What about bonus outfits and looks for Jango? Why not give me an outfit to make me look like Boba Fett, because that'll be ideal for fans of Jango Fett. They're probably also fans of Boba Fett, and just, they love Mandalorians in general. What about Jaster Muriel? Like, I know there's an outfit for him in, Masters of Terrascasi, but still, like, these bonus things are cool, but there could have been so much more better stuff I feel like we could have had and would have made the experience a little bit much more manageable, or at least make people want to go through all this stuff just a little bit more. The other thing too is that we could have gotten like bonus levels or bonus stages that would have been awesome. Why not set Jango Fett on another bounty that's like another character we've seen in the Star Wars universe? Why not actually do a lead up into what goes on in the movie for Jango Fett? Maybe after he does the stuff with the clones on Kamino, maybe make him go and like do another thing for our Tyrannus or Count Dooku or whatever. Like, there's just a lot of potential here that just wasn't really capitalized on, and it's disappointing. It's a shame, because I always say this about older games where sometimes they do stuff really good as far as like bonus goodies and they really handle it well, but then others, it's really a product of just the developers or the team just not going far enough to really do something that people would have really loved. But again, I could be a fan just complaining about this stuff, but these at least were the things that stood out to me about this type of stuff. Now, this game may be a wretched place full of scum and villainy, but can I sit here and recommend Star Wars Bounty Hunter to all of you? The blunt truth is that I really can't. I don't think this game has aged very well. At least not as good as other Star Wars games from that era. There's way too many technical problems that dampen the whole experience and stick out really badly. At the same time, this entire story feels like a waste because it's not part of canon anymore. It'd be one thing if there were characters outside of Jango that were interesting or cool, but they really aren't. I love the idea of being a bounty hunter in a Star Wars game, but I feel like this one isn't as good as many have claimed. Looking at it without nostalgia glasses, the game looks more like a bunch of bantha fodder, rather than being as good as the galaxy's most deadly bounty hunter.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
And there you go, everyone. Those are my thoughts about Star Wars Bounty Hunter for the Nintendo GameCube, the PS2, as well as also PS4 through PSN. I find so many people talk so highly about this game. They're always recommending it and saying how awesome it was. But in reality, this thing is just full of jank and a lot of problems. I mean, granted, older games, there's an acceptable amount of jank here and there. But when it all starts to compound upon itself and it gets in the way of just having fun or is really like stands out like so much, it's a damn shame because it just ruins the fun factor of it. Granted, I do feel like at some point, some elements of this game should be revisited or even given like a full remake, but I would love to see like a bounty hunter game, maybe starring Boba Fett, that borrows some elements from here. Imagine that. Imagine now, after the Book of Boba Fett finishes, Disney and LucasArts or Lucasfilm give us a game that stars Boba Fett, but just plays a lot better than this thing. That'd be sweet. I'd be totally down for that, and I know a lot of other Star Wars fans would be down for that too. Of course, like any other game that I review on this channel. That's just my opinion about Star Wars Bounty Hunter. Let me know your own thoughts about this game down below in the comment section. Tell me, are you a big Star Wars fan? Do you like Jango Fett? Do you like Boba Fett? Are you watching the Book of Boba Fett right now on Disney+? What are some other games that you could recommend to me or to anybody else that are similar to this, but probably do things a whole lot better? Talk to me about that stuff down below in the comment section. Hey, thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it enough to check out some of my other videos I'll list here on the side in just a moment. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel to see new content that I post up as it goes out. You can also join my Patreon for early access to new videos and exclusive content you'll only see over there. Don't forget to join my Discord server via the link in the description too. There's a lot of great people who love gaming and make an amazing community in there that I know you'll love being part of. Hope to see you again real soon. Peace out and stay epic, everyone.